But today we're just doing a big of a deep dive into the templates within Socket, and it's going to be very practical, just showing you how to set them all up and how to kind of get your proposals popping, I suppose. And they look like they're from you, and we know that if the proposal is more tailored and has a lot of the kind of the amazing stuff that you're doing, that they're more likely to convert. Um, so yeah, if any kind of questions, please drop them in the chat as we go. I'll try and pick them up. We've got an hour in a diary, but I don't think it's going to take an hour. But any kind of questions, let me know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. To start with, just a little bit of intro, and then we'll get straight into the product. So yeah, pretty much all about templates today. Setting up your branding, setting up your design templates, and setting up your pricing templates. And why you're doing that is to kind of make it really easy to create proposals for the kind of the people you want to. I think we see a lot of people like, oh, have got the proposals in Socket, but they're repeating tasks. So we kind of just want to show off the templates and what they can do. So three things. We're going to go to the branding section, look at branding, look at emails, and making sure that it looks like your own thing. So when clients receive your proposal, the color looks right, brochures look right, all the information looks right. Then thinking about how we can segment your clients into cohorts to kind of the kind of messaging that you want to send to them. So if there are certain things for sole traders, you might want to have a different email, you might want to have a different template, you might want to have a different PDF versus like an advisory firm, or let's say you're doing a zero price increase or a QBO price increase. You can set this up so that the emails are tailored just for that specific purpose. So we'll go through that, kind of look at different types of segmentation and how that flows into the design templates and service templates. And I said templates already, so the final thing is templates. So we are going to start in the product in the kind of the branding section. So if you've already done this, and this won't take very long, but I just want to kind of introduce it. So if you come to the settings area and you come to branding and comms, there's three like main things to start. One is your color. So what this will do is on your proposals, it will change the kind of the top bit of the tab on the color, which can be quite nice just to kind of make sure that kind of your branding's there on your proposal. And obviously you can change that. The second is your logo, and the logo will both appear in your firm but also on the proposal, so you can kind of add that. And the third are title images. So this would appear on the proposal itself in a PDF, and you can add up to 10 different images. These two are just there's no this is just one option. This one you can change what you include in different proposals. I'm just gonna see if I've got a picture I can add in. I might not have one right now. I'll grab an image in a minute and I can add it in here. So really simple, just ways to kind of get you started on making it look like your own. The second, which I'm sure lots of you have done, but a surprising number of people haven't, is just making sure that your emails are coming from your own address. So you can come into the communications, set up your domain, which just means it comes from your own email address, not ours. And then the third thing at the moment, which is not in templates, but we will be bringing it in soon, is the emails that people receive. Within here, we've got two different types of emails. So we've got our proposal emails, which will cover new proposals, it will cover minor adjustments, and it will cover renewals. And then we've got our independent document emails, which will be your engagement letter. So this is relatively new, this ability to be able to customize this. So what you can see in here is there's a few dynamic things that you have to include. So it's like, hello, the first name of the contact, this is the practice, I sent you a proposal, please review it. But you can change this so it can be whatever you want and have more information in it, or you can add tables or whatever it might be that you want to see. You do need to have the approval link is the only thing that we mandate, because otherwise they can't link in to see the proposal. You've got a final proposal email, which is what happens after they sign a proposal. And then you've got your minor adjustments email. So what happens when there's a minor adjustment. Similarly with engagement letters, there's only two because there's no such thing as a minor adjustment for documents. It's the same first email and then the final document email. As I said, at the moment, these don't flow into templates, but it's something that we're looking at to bring in soon. But on every proposal, you can edit these. So if there's something in particular you want to add to an individual, which we'll go through later, you can add those in. just answering a question from Donna. What do you mean by proposal title image? I think Amy's answering it, so I'll let Amy answer it. But yeah, there's a PDF that you can download as a proposal, and it this will be the image that's on the first page of that proposal. Amazing. So we've set up our branding, we've set up our emails, and we've kind of customized our the initial email they're gonna see on the three different options. So now I want to get into the proposal presentation. So if I go into my content, this is what your design template is going to allow you to choose between. So I'll jump into a proposal in a minute so you can kind of see what I'm editing. But here we've got introductions. So I'm just going to do this side by side so you can see it. Let me just open another tab quickly. So if I just create a proposal, so you can see my new green, which looks nice. In the proposal itself, if you click on the client preview, you're going to see what the client preview sees. So what the client sees. And so when I'm in this section this section here. So in my content, my proposal introduction is going to be what is said here. So this is kind of once they've received the email, they're going to go into here, and this is the information that they first see. So within this content, you can have multiple different options. So here we've got free, we've got a minor adjustment introduction, we've got a standard proposal introduction, and we've actually got a bespoke one for zero price increase because when we were doing this, we did like a bulk send of that, but we wanted to have a different introduction to the proposal. We call it a proposal, but it can be the same for either a minor adjustment, a renewal, or a full proposal. So when you're starting this, I think as an absolute minimum, I'd suggest that you have a minor adjustment and standard proposal introduction because they're two very different things. And I think in your account as templates to start with, you will have that. But as you start to build out these design templates, I think like consider what other things you might want to have in here. And if we go back to like our segmentation of clients, it might be that you might want a different introduction for like a different type of client or a different service, depending on what the message you want to get across. So that's the first thing that you can customize in this content. The second thing in this content is what happens afterwards. So at the end of the proposal, you have the next step page, which I'll just go to the end. I'm just going to select this quickly. And then they'll see next steps, which I can't go to because it's assigned, but next steps is a page. What this here is just what that message will say for the next steps. So again, you can have templates for all those that you can choose in the design template. And then the same again for your engagement letter introduction. So this is if you're sending engagement letters as standalone. This is the engagement letter introduction and the engagement letter next steps and prospect next steps for existing clients and prospects. The last two things in here in terms of content is we can have a on the PDF of the proposal we can have footer text. So in the proposal on the footer of the text there'll be information you can add and within that section I was in. And the final thing is a brochure. So within the proposal itself, if I go back to my client preview, in the About Us tab, you can upload a PDF. And that PDF could be whatever you want it to be. And so you can have a different PDF for different things. And here we've just got a little bit about our business and what it does. So again, as I said, you can choose where you put that brochure. You can either have it after the overview or you can have it the last step before the approval. So that will change. And then here I've got like a default one, but I can have multiple brochures if I want to. Sweet. So I think that is like the content section. And then the last thing in here is a testimonial. So if I'm going to add a testimonial, the cool thing you can do is you can import for your website. So if you've got testimonials on your website already, you can just type in your website URL and we find them and pull them down. I'm just going to have someone called Amy. I'm going to have a company name, which is Simon's Firm. And I'm going to have what a fantastic accountant. And I can add this in here, and then where this is going to appear on the on this page, it will appear down the bottom here. I think I'll need to do a new proposal for it to appear, but it will appear here as a testimonial down the bottom. Amazing. I think the last thing I haven't touched on is videos, um, which I think is in the proposal settings. So I'll come back to that in a minute. So hopefully those kind of give you a flavor of the different information that you can add, the testimonials, the engagement, the PDF, and how that flows into what the proposal is. So if I now come into the design template, if I come into design templates. So what is this design template doing? It's basically allowing you to choose all this from scratch. I'm going to call this a new, I'm going to call this Sole Trader 2 design template. And you can see here all the things that I've talked about, but a couple extra things. So what this does is brings together a lot of the things I talked to you about content, but also some additional processes that you can customize on a proposal per proposal basis. But having this design template, and sometimes I think that the name design template is like a little bit misleading because it's more than design. It's also whether you have an approval flow, like whether you include direct debit, so like all that kind of stuff that you might want to have set up, you can do within this in this section. So first thing in here is approval flow, as I said. So do you want to have an approval flow in here, or do you not? What kind of approval do you want from your client? There's an introduction. So the introduction I just spoke about a minute ago in content, it allows you to pick one of those drop downs in here. Videos, you can add videos in here. So if you want a video of your firm, some people might just have a personalized touch, like saying, "Hi, I'm Simon. I'm from Simon's firm, and this is what we do, and it's great to have you on board," or whatever it might be. Some people even want to do it proposal by proposal. So you can add that in here. This just decides on what you want to do once the proposal's been approved. A brochure, whether we include the brochure or not. And as I said, you can move those around. The testimonials that I've mentioned already, and then reminders. So this allows you to send out reminders, up to 5 reminders for the proposal that hasn't been signed. And then finally, there's a whole different bit of settings about what is shown on the proposal. So how long is the proposal valid for? Do you want to show the prices? Do you want them to allow them to decline the proposal? And how do you want to display the proposals? So there's quite a lot of information there, but I suppose as you kind of are building proposals, I think the design template can become really powerful. So if I've got my sole trader one here, and let's just say I want to save this, it's saved now. What this now allows me to do is, let's say I've got a new client coming on board, and I'm coming into my proposal, and I know this is a new client. I know this has got to be my sole trader 2, any type sole trader, and I'm going to be the proposal owner, or John is going to be the proposal owner. So in here, I can now click design templates, and I've got my sole trader template. And here it tells me all the different things that I've already selected for that, but it's going to have it already selected. So if you're wanting to make sure there's consistency on the proposals you're sending for people, this can be a really good way of making sure that consistency is there. It's going to automatically do all the settings and all the visualizations and customization that I said for that person. If I click apply, it's now all in there, already customized. And hopefully then you can just go and focus on actually doing the proposal quickly. Hopefully you can see the power of if you start setting up these templates, depending on what you want to do, depending on how you want to segment your proposals or clients, it should make the whole process a lot quicker if you're able to do it. So I'm just going to come back to my slides for a second and talk about like how you might want to segment that or what you might want to do, and then we'll go into the pricing menu. I know I'm going quite fast, so let me know any kind of questions, and I always speak too fast, so I'll try and slow down, but hold me accountable to it. So yeah, we've talked about design templates and how the name design template is maybe a little bit misleading, and actually it's basically pretty much configuration of what the proposal will do. You can configure the messages, you can configure the testimonials, you can configure the brochures, you can configure like what they see, you can configure whether you show prices and not prices. So loads of different things you can configure. Like how do you actually want to do this? I think like there's a couple of different ways. Like one is probably on the type of communication. So when we talked about at the beginning, we talked about maybe doing like a price rise change or something like that. There's definitely going to be like a type of renewal or proposal template that you want for that, which is not the same for a new client. But the second way I think is like is also in types of clients. So the information you might want to get across, the testimonials you might want to get across, the information you might want to give to someone, it's probably going to be different depending on like what services you're offering them. And like a really nice way of doing this is when we blend in our pricing templates as well, is you can have your design templates with the right messaging and the right information with it, alongside like a pre-populated pricing menu, which can mean you can do proposals pretty quickly for people to take that kind of admin away. So yeah, I've got 4 different cohorts in here. And then the second thing, like which I'm just going to run through now, is having like a pricing template. So I know like some people have like your core plus advanced. So when you start having both that design template and pricing template together, as I said, it can make the creation of the proposal very bespoke to the individual, but also really quick. So let's dive back into the app, and we are going to go to, I'm going to go back out here, and I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to go into pricing templates. Oh, actually, just quick thing on design template, something that we just added like last night is a duplication on this. So it used to be that you could only add it from a blank template or proposal, but we've now added the ability to duplicate, just so if you're creating these from scratch and you haven't got a proposal that you want to base it on, it can be a good way to be able to create the different templates that you want. So we're going to pricing templates. I'm going to create one from scratch just for illustration purposes. I'm going to call this my Simon's Firm's core pricing. So what this does is it basically loads your pricing menu. And something that I didn't realize for a little while is you can like actually hide the information that you see here. So when we're talking about our segmentation, I think we've talked about both client type segmentation and also kind of size of firm segmentation. So I'm actually going to change this to my sole trader MTD template to start with. So I know when I'm doing a template for sole trader MTD, like I'm not doing payroll. So what I can do is I can hide that, so it's not going to appear in the pricing menu. I am doing navigating complexity of these. I'm probably not going to do smarter insights. I'm not doing bank rec. I'm not going to do these things. I'm just going to offer a simplistic service. So this means that all those things will go away. I think we've had some feedback from some people that there's too much information on the pricing screen if you're running it through it with a client. I think this can really help that because it can allow you to streamline your pricing menu, even if it's quite complex when you're running through it with your client, just so it's the information that's relevant to them, depending who they are. And here that I know that generally I want it to be done for you. So I'm going to select that as a default. I'm going to have this as a simple preparation. And then I'm going to have, they're going to be using, well, they're going to be using, well, I don't have it in there. Let's say they're using prepare. They're using solo. And then also a submission with a couple of gains. So what this is doing is basically building out like a template for what's going to be there in the first time you see this client. So that's now saved. And so I'm just going to go into my pricing menu now. Sorry, my proposals now. So I start a new proposal. I'm going to do a new client again for my entity sole trader. I've got a sole trader here. Let's set that. So I'm just going to be the owner. And now in my quick start templates, I can both choose my sole trader entity template and I can choose my design template as well. So those two are now applied. So you can see here, I've got my pricing template and my design template. I'm just going to change that. So now when I open this up, it's going to be a lot more simpler. I've just got 4 sections, projects, and my original kind of selection of these things is already pre-populated. So it can be like a really good starting point. You have to go through in lots of detail. You can just review and go, actually, how do these things change depending on what you want to do. And obviously you can kind of change this if you want to. But it's like a lot more streamlined way of doing the creation. So that's I suppose like doing a skew on like an individual person. Excuse me. Let's go back and then let's try and create 3 different pricing menus based on like good, better, best, and then how that feeds into here when you're creating a proposal. So I'm going back into my pricing templates. And I'm just going to start from scratch so you can see this. So I'm going to start from a blank template and I'm going to go for my core package. So this is going to be for my limited company's core package. So now in here, I'm going to choose a few things. Like generally, they're going to be doing sales invoices, they're going to be doing bookkeeping, but I decided I don't want to do this, and they're not going to be doing this, and not this, let's say, and do it like that. So this is going to generate a like core package. I'm now going to duplicate this, and I'm going to have I can't remember what I called it, but let's call it my maintain, I think it was. I don't know. And then for this, I'm going to add in VAT returns. Hopefully, you get the picture of what I'm doing here quarterly. And I'm going to add in bank rec. And then now I'm going to go for my ultimate package again. So we're going to duplicate this. And I'm going to call it ultimate. And then I'm just going to put in some payment runs. And I'm going to put in annual accounts. I think this is some questionable services I'm offering here, but hopefully you get the gist. So now I've got my free pricing menus, my ultimate, my maintain, and my core. So let's go back into a proposal. Let's create a new one for my maintain client. They are a limited company. And I now go into my templates. I'm just going to choose engagement letter position. So again, so I'm now in here. So again, same thing before. I can choose my template. I haven't created one for them here, but I can choose this. And now I can go into pricing templates. If I select multiple options, I can now tick my free packages. And I can move them around. So I've got my core, I've got my maintain, I've got my ultimate, and then I can mark this one's recommended. And now I'll go to my next step. I'm just going to do that. And now out of the box, those three like are done with information populated, and I can go through and edit those. Like it might be that you don't want to put in the values for here. You don't have to. You can just have like the views that you can see. It can be quite a nice way to start and want to do that. But now this has got three things in here. I can then go and I mean, if I was happy with those three, I probably need to adjust the information, but I can go and customize and send that information. And go through the normal proposal flow. A couple of things I wanted to touch on this customization page. All the things that we built in our design template, you can edit in here. So if there was some reason you wanted to say, actually, no, I want to say something else in here, you can do that and it won't impact the template and it'll just put it into the section. Same thing with videos, same thing for proposals, same thing for brochures, etc., etc., etc. Additionally, if for some reason there's like some bespoke information you want to add to or remove something from an engagement letter, you can always do that on an individual basis. So you can go in here, you can add some information, and you can apply that to that engagement letter for whatever reason you might want to do that. So yeah, I think that hopefully shows you the kind of the different ways, the different segmentations for the pricing templates, and how you could look at applying them. So I'm going to pause there for a second. Does anyone kind of have any questions or things that you want me to go through in more detail on any of that? Cool. Either I've lost you or it all makes sense. So hopefully it all makes sense. So kind of recapping on where we were, we're looking at the proposal templates, we're looking at design templates. Like I'll touch on it briefly, but the engagement letter and service schedule templates hopefully are relatively self-explanatory. Um, so just touching briefly on the engagement letter and service schedule or template. So the way that our service schedules work is that they map to the pricing menu. So in your pricing menu, you're mapping your line items to a service schedule. So when your clients receive their engagement letter, it only includes the things that are relevant to them. So there's a top level hierarchy of a document, and then it goes down to a service schedule. So just ensuring that those are mapped in the right way, like when you're going through a proposal, we'll make sure that you're including the right information. And the way that you should be doing that is in document templates stage in here is you're creating your top level documents, which you can go in and change if you want to. The second kind of thing you should be doing is in the service schedules is creating your service schedules, and then the screen I just showed you a second ago is once you've created all the service schedules that you want, you go to your services and pricing, you go to service schedules, and then you're mapping your service schedules. If you're doing this and you haven't started it yet, if you do suggest templates, there's going to be some AI stuff that goes and looks at names to try and match them for you to help that mapping. So I've got a question from Penny. Can the defaults be set to a pricing menu? I always have to edit for either weekly or monthly bookkeeping. This is the real problem if offering options to a client. So I don't think I fully understand. So if we're in the pricing templates, we want to set like a default pricing template. So within the template, what it allows you to do is basically select the value on the letter of engagement. Okay, got you. So basically within here, you want to have a default letter of engagement that gets populated, I think. Let me double check that. I don't know if we do that, but I think that's probably a relatively quick fix, something that we can take away and do. I don't think there's a default in here, but I think that's something that we can look at doing, and hopefully it'll be in the product tomorrow for you. But yeah, I'll double check that we can't do it, but I don't think you can. But I think that makes sense. So we'll try and do that for you. So I think we've covered the engagement letter, we've covered the design templates, we've covered the service schedules. And the last thing I suppose this is basically just showing all the different things that we've talked about and how it brings it together. So all different things your client can see and how your templates might interact with that. I think we've gone through all those things, the pricing options. That's on the fields. Oh, okay, I've got you. So I think sorry, Penny. I think the thing that Penny's mentioning is on the service schedule itself, there might be a cadence. So like let's say in bookkeeping, let me know if this is wrong, but I think you have like a thing like bookkeeping frequency in here. So the best way to ensure that the frequency matches your frequency you're doing the proposal is if you do have a dynamic tag, it will prompt you to do it. So how do you create like a dynamic tag? Is in any of these places itself. If I do Simon's, you have to do underscore tag. It'll basically create a dynamic tag for that thing. And then if I click apply, this dynamics tags to review will be up here, and it'll show me all the things that I need to change within that setting before I send it to the client. So here I can see that I've got the bookkeeping frequency, which I can type in the default in here, but I can change this to be monthly. So you can do it so that you can create the tag, and it'll make sure it's in here. As I said at the beginning, the default value, I need to double check where that comes from, but I'm pretty sure you can set it. The ability to be able to set like monthly based on the proposal isn't in there yet. It'll still prompt you to review your dynamic tags. And how do you the best way to add the dynamic tags is within the document section. So if I was in, let's say, my service schedules, and one of these service schedules, I'm in here, at any point I can change. So I've got VAT return frequency in here. I can add any dynamic tab I want to. So you can either have one of the ones that are in the system, or as I said, you can make your own. So basically there's options depending on, okay. So we're looking at Penny's saying that they've got options, some is weekly, some is monthly, but the engagement changes depending on what the option they selected. So I think, yeah, that's something that we can look into, how we tie frequency or basically settings of options to an engagement letter and tailoring it, the engagement letter to make sure it matches the option that they choose. Thank you, Penny. Hopefully that is kind of answering your question. So yeah, not at the moment. There isn't a way to link the option to the engagement letter itself, but it's something that we can look into. The last thing that I wanted to just touch on, I think we talked about like at the beginning, but the three different types of proposals, the new proposals, the renewals and minor adjustments, and how some of the terminology within the kind of settings can make that be a lot more straightforward for you. So making sure you've got those emails configured, making sure you've got those design templates with different like tweaking to the wording for the introduction for whether it's proposals or renewals or whatever it might be, and for minor adjustments. And the last thing is just some homework if you haven't already. So making sure that you're going in, putting colors in, and then if like working out what your cohorts are. So like, are you going to change what you see based on services you're offering, or are you going to do it based on kind of the good, better, best model and build your design and pricing templates based on that, and then just having a go. And then finally, anything that's not currently doing at the moment, such as like Penny or others have alluded to, just letting us know and we can improve this area, because I think we want to make sure that the proposals are as bespoke as possible for you to make sure they're really good, but also that bespokeness can be automated as much as can via these templates and settings. I think that's all I wanted to cover for today. Yeah, I'll stay around for a little longer for any questions, but appreciate your time. And if there's other kind of how-to or practical sessions that you'd want, like do let us know. We're here to help and to come to show you how to make the best use of the product. So yeah, thank you very much. Just got a question here from Alistair. I have clients in different jurisdictions. Would cohorts be the way to manage these? Yeah, but yeah, I suppose depending on what you're doing in different jurisdictions, like if you're changing the engagement letter, I think you've got to do the engagement letter selection and server schedules. The templates are going to change the format of the proposal itself and what's included in the design template, and the pricing will change kind of the pricing. So yes, it can be a good way to do that. It kind of depends on what's changing, but yeah, I see that a good way to manage the jurisdictions. Okay, amazing. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll leave it there. Have a bit of time back, get exploring in Socket, and as I said, let us know what's good, what's bad. If you want more sessions like this, what kind of sessions, and also what more to put into the product. Hope you have a lovely Thursday, and we will see you soon. Thank you.